A little lesson here is one that I preached about 12 years ago. I had a date on 2005. 2005. So if you were here in 2005 and you heard it, you pretend that it knew too. You don't remember it anyway. Middle of the road, faith. Middle of the road. Middle of the road, faith. I just want to stir up your faith, your passion for the cause of Christ, and pray that your faith, you're not indecisive, you're not in the middle of the road per se. That you have made your mind, that you started across, and you're going to finish. You're going to complete that journey that you set yourself to finish. But there are some who start out and they stop right in the middle of the road. And I told this story when I worked down in Ashland City. I worked there for several years. I think I started in 2004, and I submitted my resignation in somewhere in 2007. Started working over there at Austin T. I think it was 2004. I'm sorry. That's what it was. And I worked at Austin T from 2004 to 2007. So I worked there 4 years. And I worked a 12-hour shift, 3 12-hour shifts. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was off the rest of the week. And then you can imagine when you get off 12-hour shift, you're anxious to get home. Come flying around those roads. I had that big round Hemi, and I was trying to make it home that morning. I came around the curve there, and what did I see? A squirrel in the middle of the road. I tried to, to run over the top of it so I wouldn't crush it, But the squirrel, it was dancing this way and that way. It was indecisive whether they wanted to continue on the cross or try to go back. And you hear that sound underneath your wheel. Rush. You got squirrel pieces right there in the middle of the road. And I just did something to me, because I was like, hitting animals. I tried to avoid taking life. And as I was going on down the road, I was thinking, that stupid squirrel, I did a Simpson or a stupid squirrel. And as I went on down the road, probably another mile or so, there was another squirrel that's coming across the middle of the road. And that squirrel was basically going to do the same. So I'm making up my mind to do the same thing. I'm going to straddle it and not hit it. But that squirrel kept on the other side. Safe. He had started out and made it to the other side. And just made me think about Christian. How that some start out on the road, they have their sights set to make it to the other side, and something causes them to stumble. They're there in the middle of the road, and Satan crushes them under their wheel. So with that in mind, let's turn to Acts chapter 26. We're going to read the story of old Paul as he recounts his conversion. And he's talking to Felix and Agrippa, Festus and Agrippa. Y'all know the story, but permit me to read it. You in Acts chapter 26 yet? Okay. I'm not going to read all of it, but Paul had been given permission to speak before them, and Paul was making this defense. And in verse number, let me see, what did it say? 9. Said, indeed, I myself thought I must do many things contrary to the name of Jesus of Nazareth. This I also did in Jerusalem, and many of the saints I shut up in prison, having received authority from the chief priests. And when they were put to death, I cast my vote against them, and I punished them often in every synagogue, and compelled them to blaspheme and being exceedingly enraged against them, I persecuted them even to foreign cities. While thus occupied, I journeyed to Damascus with authority and commission from the chief priest. At midday, O king, along the road I saw a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, shining around me and those who journeyed with me. And when we all had fallen to the ground, I heard a voice speaking to me and saying in the Hebrew language, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads. So I said, who are you, Lord? And he said, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But rise and stand on your feet, for I have appeared to you for this purpose, to make you a minister and a witness both of the things which you have seen and of the things which I will yet reveal to you. I will deliver you from the Jewish people as well as from the Gentiles, to whom I now send you, to open their eyes in order to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan to God, that they may receive forgiveness of sin and an inheritance among those who are sanctified by faith in me. Therefore, King Agrippa, I was not disobedient to the heavenly vision, but declared first to those in Damascus, in Jerusalem, and throughout all the region of Judea, and then to the Gentiles, that they should repent, turn to God, and do works befitting repentance. For these reasons the Jews seized me in the temple and tried to kill me. Therefore, having obtained help from God, to this day I stand, witnessing both to small and great, saying no other thing than those which the prophet and Moses said would come, that the Christ would suffer, that he would be the first to rise from the dead, and would proclaim light to the Jewish people and to the Gentiles. Now as he thus made this defense, Festus said with a loud voice, Paul, you are beside yourself. Much learning is driving you mad. But he said, I am not mad, most noble Festus, but speak the words of truth and reason. For the king before whom I also stand speaks freely, knows these things, for I am convinced that none of these things escape his attention, since this thing was not done in a corner. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophet? I know that you believe him. Then Agrippa said to Paul, you almost persuaded me to become a Christian. King Agrippa was just like those words. He had an opportunity, but he stopped midstream and made this statement that we sing songs about, almost persuaded. And I know that you all have set yourself and your mind is set on finishing the course that is set before you. And I just want to encourage you all to continue, because we're not running this race in vain. I just want to call you to examine yourselves whether you are in the faith, according to 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. Secondly, exhort you to study that you may show yourself approved, according to 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. And encourage you to repent and to serve the living God, according to Acts chapter 26 and verse 20 that we have noted here in our scriptural text. We know that there is no condemnation now in those who are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. Romans 8 verses, Romans chapter 8 and verses 5. You'll see there, we're in that study right now in our Bible study. We want to make sure, we want to make our calling and election sure. We don't want to let anything in this world cause us to stumble, to pause, if you please, in the middle of the road. We see our destination is set before us, and we set our minds on finishing it. And Jesus Christ, the righteous, is going to help us if we, by faith, trust in him. By faith, keep his holy commandments. Condemnation is an expression of strong disapproval, pronouncing as a wrong or moral, pronouncing something wrong or moral, or someone morally cold. We want to walk, we know that's a manner of life. We want to conduct ourselves according to the ways and will of of God. We mentioned that word in our study, parable tale. That's the walk that we want to emulate. Well, we know that many walk, but they're not the servants of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. They walk and they're deceiving themselves, and my heart goes out to them. You can just look around, even now we see an indication that they're not strong in the faith. And we want them to be strong and serve the Lord. The Lord talked about people who have this middle of the road mindset. Turn to Revelation chapter 3, if you would, please. Revelation chapter 3, we'll look at verse number 14. You're all familiar with it. Have it? And to the angel, this is Jesus speaking, and to the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things say the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I could wish that you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. Because you say I am rich, have become wealthy, and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you may be rich, and white garments, that you may be clothed, that the shame of your nakedness may not be revealed, and anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see. And my plea to each one of us, and those of us that can see, we help others to see the error of their ways, that they are neither cold nor hot. They have stopped in the middle of the road, per se. And the Lord is not pleased with someone who is half-hearted, half-committed. You're either for him or you are against him. And we want to be committed totally, fully, and completely to the call of Christ. He said that in 1 John chapter 2 and verse 6, he that said he abideth, dwell in him, ought to himself also to walk, even as he walked. We ought to follow the path that Jesus Christ has set. Follow after him, and it will be well with our soul if we just look to him, who is the author and the finisher of our faith, and see how he conducted himself, and we follow that same path. Even Paul said, follow after me as I follow after Christ. So we want to do that, and that goes for any servant of God, that you want to have someone who's a model for you right there, here and now, because people like to have that. You can read all day long, but if I had someone that I can emulate, a friend, a mother, a pet, sibling, someone, and I just want to encourage each one of us to be that for somebody. Be that beacon of light that can help someone see the error of their way and help guide them through the storm of life, just like a lighthouse guided sailors to their destination. So we want to be that. Be a light, a bright shining light for the Lord. Now the Lord said we can't serve two masters. And we all know that. You're going to either love the one and hate the other. You can't serve him and money. Paul wrote in his Ephesian letter, I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you to walk worthy of the vocation wherewith you are called. This vocation is it's a regular occupation, especially one for which a person is particularly studied or qualified. An inclination as it is, as if in response to a summons, to undertake a certain kind of work, especially a religious career, a calling. So you got to walk worthy of your vocation, and people will see Christ in you and a desire to know him. And this is another one of our commandments, walk in the light that he is in the light, and allow our light to so shine that people see our good works and glorify him, and that they may be desires to ask the question of the reason of the hope that is within you. And then we, as his disciples, are prepared to give an answer according to the Holy Scripture. So, short lesson. Just want to, again, just emphasize, stress the point that we don't want to be caught midstream in anything. We want to, this is a worthy call that we've been called to. And it's not one that we're running in vain. There's a crown of life that's waiting for us at the end of our journey here. And we know that Jesus Christ, the righteous judge, is going to reward us abundantly for the work that we do in the here and now. So we want to make sure that what we do is will survive the judgment that is going to be imposed upon it. Because when we get before him, he's going to look at our work and see whether or not they were, what kind of works they were, whether they had the right type of, you had the right type of motivation when you did these things for him. And our love for him, to honor him, is our chief motivation. Love for him is that which is going to drive us to do good work, to honor him and not ourselves. So we want to keep that in mind and just be mindful that people are always watching, and we don't want to bring shame on our Lord in any way. Yes, we're not going to be successful in that throughout our journey. There's going to be some places where we stumble, but it will be something that will be uncharacteristic of you and not something that is typical for you. We don't want to have that label put on us that you are a hypocrite, basically. That's where I see those who have stopped in the middle of the road and they want to go back to the other side where they just came from. You know what that we see that worldliness is still, the call is still there. And so just like that animal that I crushed couldn't make up his mind which way he wanted to go, that continued on, it would have been safe like the one that I encountered a mile or so away. We want to be like that one. Start one side and go straight on the cross, and everything will work out fine. We started out on this journey, and there is something that the scripture has to say about those who turn back. It said it's better for them to have never known the ways of the Lord than to have known it and then go back into it. It's going to be worse for them. It wasn't better. So you got sort of like a goad or a prod to make you keep on going. I know hell is going to be hot for those who are unfortunate enough to end up there, but it's going to be harder. It's going to be worse for me, mentally and physically, because I know that I had tasted that the Lord was good at one time and started out walking with him, and then Satan ensnared me, trapped me, and led me back into the where I came from. I went back to that vomit, that filth. So we don't want to be guilty of that. So I just want to encourage you to stay on course. Finish that journey, and you got a friend or someone who's stumbling on the way, we're supposed to pick them up. Say, come on, we can make it together. Try to encourage them, and that's what we want to be encouragers and exhorters of the Word of God. Ezekiel 33:11 says, say unto them, as I live, said the Lord God, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his way and live. Turn ye from your evil ways, for why will you die, O house of Israel? That's the lesson this evening. Hopefully it says something that encourage you to run this race with patience and finish the course that is set before each of us. With that, we're going to stand and sing the song of encouragement.